points, steals, assists, rebounds. Just talk about that, and then that their team's not more successful with that.
Well, they lost a lot of players off last year's team. You know, the team that beat us was in the Big 12 championship game. That was a really hard team to guard. And they lost a lot of pieces off that, and of course they turned Jacobson and Halliburton. And to me, Halliburton is playing to the level that we all knew he would. We thought he's one of the better guards in the country last year, a freshman. But his numbers weren't as much because obviously he had nice pieces around him. And this year there's more of a importance for him to score more. But he's a terrific prospect. He's long, he's got great hands, and certainly can shoot the ball from range. And there's a reason why he'll be a high draft pick.
We know Marcus can guard anybody. Have you got a feel for what he prefers, guarding a bigger body or guarding a guy like that?
I don't know. I've never asked him
Right.
what he preferred. We just put him on what we need, and I think in a perfect world, he'd like to guard a really a ball handler that's not very fast and doesn't handle it very good. Okay, that's the perfect world for everybody. So, and that didn't happen. So he's got to have to obviously guard some size. And with us, we'll switch a lot, but I would imagine he and Devon both would get the lion's share of the work against Halliburton.
Coach has said that Marcus is being referred to as the defensive coordinator now. What kind of responsibility comes with that?
Well, I mean, these guys come up with terms and things that I've never heard of. None better than the Morris twins back in the day. But I'm happy if he wants to take that responsibility. We talk about, hey, who's in charge? If we don't do this particular game, who's going to accept responsibility for it? Just to mess with him. Marcus always said, I will coach. So they do look at him as our defensive leader without question.
How have you felt about the amount of games that have been broadcasted exclusively in the Big 12 or ESPN Plus?
The amount, well, first of all, I don't know the amount. I know us primarily. What are we, Chris? We're up to about 4 or 5 now.
We have 10 on the season, and then this
10.
will be number 7.
This is number 7. We've got 10.
Yeah,
We got 3 left,
including tomorrow.
So, to me, that's a pretty big number. It affects everybody. Okay, so we may have less than some people, but everything is relative because, if I'm not mistaken, the last couple of years that we played 31 regular season games, other than the 4 early season games or 5, 25, 26 of those are on national TV every game where everybody can watch. And now probably, what would that be, about 6 of those have been eliminated, probably because we still have the 4 or 5, early season games and then these. So not excited about that, but it may be better for us than it is some other folks, because other folks may have more games on there. And the thing that it is, you can get it. I don't know how, but you can get it. I mean, based on what I've been told, you got to go through a little bit of stuff, but you can get it. And I know the wave of the future is streaming and that sort of stuff. So maybe we're ahead of the curve a little bit. So you can't look at it all as negative. But the one thing that is a little bit more difficult is, you're not seen by recruits and recruits' families as much nationwide, because not too many people are going to pay to watch somebody play when they can just flip on the channel and watch whoever they want to play. So to me, that's one of the biggest negatives that I see of it, even though I know it certainly affects fan bases everywhere, and it has ours, because some aren't quite as equipped to handle some of modern technology as what others are, nobody likes that, but it's just kind of what the league has decided to do, and the jury's still out if it's going to be good or bad. You can't say it's bad now because we haven't given it time to determine if it's going to be good or bad, but the jury's still out, and we'll see how it plays out over time.
Have you heard from recruits who said, how do I watch the game?
No, not as much. I haven't personally
Right.
Heard from them, but it doesn't take much to figure it out. You play in West Virginia, and you want to watch the game, and recruits don't get an opportunity to do that unless they are obviously subscribers. And I'm just curious, of the top 100 guys in the country, their families, how many are subscribers? So it doesn't eliminate it. It also allows you to watch if in fact you have the capability, which 95% of people probably do, to watch. So it's not ideal, but who knows? 2 or 3 years from now, it may be a very clever move to have done it to get ahead of the curve. So I don't think anybody can bash anybody about it. It's just kind of a change of times and how it works. But I can certainly appreciate frustration by fans.
There are kids, I mean, recruits have changed over the years. You've been coaching long enough that kids are all different now. Do kids like watch whole basketball games, recruits now? Or are you finding kids are more and more like, oh, give me the highlights. I don't really want to watch a whole game.
Well, I think everybody's different, but a lot of the guys that we've been locked in on, they stay in, they watch every possession. So I don't think that's unusual at all to have people that you're seriously recruiting try to watch as much as possible. I mean, the thing about it is, there's so much content out there that you could watch so many different things. You could watch NBA, you could watch whatever. There's an opportunity to watch whatever you want to watch, but the recruits and their families are still as big a basketball fans as probably our country has because of the importance and value to their respective child. So, yeah, I would say it means something to those families.
What more do you need to see from Ochai?
Consistent scoring, getting to the free throw line. He's gotten. I was looking at that. I think Coach tries his butt off, but the ball hadn't really fallen his way on offensive rebound attempts. He's got 12 for the year, and he's got to do a better job of getting to the glass. But there's a lot of things that we can all do, coaches, everybody do, for the rest of the year to keep getting better, and we all got things we need to improve on. Certainly Oach has his, but I wouldn't say any different from Doak or Devon or Marcus or whatever. We just need to continue to try to get better in each and every area just a little bit. If we do that, we're going to gain on it pretty quickly.
Is that effort what's keeping his minutes up? Just him trying so hard?
I just feel comfortable with him in the game. The thing about it is, I feel more comfortable with Marcus, Oach, or Devon. 2 of the 3 are in the game. And it seems like to me that Marcus the last 2 or 3 weeks has put himself in situations with foul that during crunch time in the second half, you can't take Oach out. You can't take Devon out. And so that probably has a little bit to do with it, with his minutes and with he and Devon being so high.
What's he doing to get himself in foul trouble? Is there anything that's consistently kind of setting himself up for that?
Maybe guarding 6'10", that post, and he's a 6'4" guard. I do think this, like against West Virginia, he has a tendency to take the bait, so to speak. If somebody puts the ball out in front of him, he's going to try to take it. And that, when he got 1 foul early in the second half, no big deal. You got 3 in the second half, you can't do that. You got 2 early in the second half, you don't want to do that. And he's kind of put himself in situations. He's got 1 or 2 cheap one each game, I think.
This deep into the season, what have you seen with the deeper three-point line? Have you seen shooting get worse, offense get worse? What are your thoughts so far?
Well, I haven't watched, I'm a big fan. I haven't watched all games, but I think statistically it's as bad a shooting year that the NCAA's had since the three-point line has been intact, going back to 1986, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that inaccurate? The shooting percentages are worse this year. I think the distance has something to do with it, a large part to do with it. I also think that maybe college basketball doesn't have as many really, really good shooters as what it's had going way back from a fundamental standpoint. But it's going to pick back up. It'll dip this year, and you watch it'll continue to climb back up just because people got to get used to the line. But I don't think that there's been, it doesn't seem like to me, including Kansas, that there's been as much well-run offense with rhythm and fluidity than what there has been in past years. And I think a lot of it is that the percentages behind the arc are down.
You guys have split the last 10 matchups with Iowa State. What makes them such a tough matchup year in, year out?
They've had good players. I mean, you go back and look at it. I mean, they've had players on certain teams where 4 of the 5 starters are all NBA guys. I think they had 5 when they had Monty and Nas and Bat made it, and Burton made it, and George made it. I mean, they've had good guys. They've had the best personnel in our league going back. And my feeling next to us, I would still take our personnel, but without question. But they've had really good players over time, and I think that's the biggest thing. And last year, I'll be, they get 2 or 3 against us last year, and I'll be honest, they got us easily at their place. Doak didn't play. That was the first game he was out. Then we got them barely at our place, and then they got us pretty easily in the tournament. They had a, I hate to say it, they had a better team than us last year from a matchup standpoint. It was a hard team for us to match up with, and so they got a lot of the same pieces, but they got a lot of newcomers this year, and as good as they have been, I think it's hard to remain at that level when you're replacing 3 or 4 starters. Where in years past they've had a pretty consistent set of guys setting out or whatever that stepped in and they really hadn't skipped a beat.
You got
Jalen update.
No, he's not practicing yet. We said all along it would be the second full week in January. So we're hopeful. The target date was maybe he could be practicing by the 13th.
You've got 3 guys that haven't played up there, newcomers, and then 3 guys who haven't played in 2 years up there. You talk much about it, or let them figure it out on their own, or I mean, it's obviously a tough place, right?
Yeah, it's a tough place, but I mean, all places in our league are tough.
Sure.
But yeah, it is a tough place. But you go back and look at it. That's been one of our more successful away venues that we've had. Doesn't really translate that as much in the last 10 outings, which has been the last 4 years. I think because we played them in the tournament twice, two of those years. But we've actually done okay up there. We haven't killed it by any stretch, but we've had some good performances up there. Certainly, it'll take another one. But yeah, we'll talk about it. But hopefully, when we talk about it, we'll maybe digest and it'll soak in a little bit better than what it did on how physical West Virginia could play, because certainly they shell-shocked us with that.
Is there a common theme to why it's gone well up there? I mean,
well, it hadn't gone great,
right?
But we've always enjoyed going up there and playing, just like it. And you could say this too: which team has given us the most problems here?
Sure.
You could say, Oklahoma State or Iowa State for sure. I just think both teams enjoy playing each other.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Thank you.